just a 5-minute question and answer time. People are kind of passing questions to me, and then I answer. Usually they're in a biblical type of situation, but this question isn't on a biblical situation. It's on something that's going on recently here right now in terms of some people that have happened, and is more of a constitutional and historical questions, and a question about rights and that kind of thing. So let's go ahead and throw that up there. Today's question. Kim Davis refused to issue gay marriage licenses. Are you familiar with that situation? And then she spent a little bit of time in jail about that. Is she guilty of trying to combine church and state? And so what I did is I went out, and you can go out to Comedy Central or a lot of other places like that, and you can hear the opposing viewpoints. So I have the slides for that up here for you. This is from Midnight with Chris Hardwick on Comedy Central. He said, Kim Davis spent 6 days behind bars for defying the law and reason by refusing to do her job and issue gay marriage licenses. So go ahead and click. Kim, you're religious, but your religious views are kind of beside the point. You ran for office, you were elected to a job in an American state, your salary is paid by taxes. And in America, as set forth by the Constitution, we have a separation of church and state. Here's a photo demonstrating that these are 2 separate buildings. Okay? Separated means separated, which you should know because you separated from 3 husbands. Okay? Now, let's talk about this. First of all, what would you say? I'll ask for your viewpoint on this. What would you say about what Chris said? Well said. You know, it was in a letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to a Baptist pastor, if I remember correctly. And in fact, the Constitution has nothing about separation of church and state. Instead, the First Amendment, and at the very beginning, this is the first thing that they wanted to put down, in terms of the Bill of Rights that they thought was very important, is this, which you can look up, of course, online yourself. First Amendment, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. What would that mean? Right, we're not going to have a state church. And this is so different, of course, than the European countries that they came from, and they saw what a tremendous problem that was to have a state church. So they said they're not going to do that, all right? Or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. That really actually speaks against what Chris Hardwick was saying. In other words, this First Amendment does not talk about a separation of church and state. Instead, it talks more about the free exercise of religion, which would be more in Kim's favor, actually, that we should exercise. Does that make sense to you? Okay. So this has been said over and over again, and I really think that people who are coming from a different viewpoint really know that the separation of church and state is not in the Constitution, but they repeat it over and over again, so everybody kind of believes it, and that's unfortunate. That's not there. Now, it is true, we believe in a separation of church and state in terms of the church does not control the state, it has its own sphere, and the state does not control the church. That actually comes from the Bible, by the way. You remember there was a king who wanted to go in to the priests and to act as a priest. And instead God said, no, the priests have their own sphere and the kings have their own sphere. And do you remember what happened to the king, by the way? He instantly got leprosy and was judged by God because he attempted to try and do the duties of the priest. So that's okay, let's go on to the next. Chris Hardwick says, I want to be very clear. I'm not attacking anyone for their religious beliefs. I'm not at all. You are free to believe what you want, and that's what's glorious and amazing about our country. Now, it's a great statement, but what is he leaving out? Yeah, that's right. You'll hear this a lot now in this day and age, and it really has changed quite a bit. In our Christophobic culture that we live in, where we're afraid of Christianity, unfortunately, there is a lot of statement about it's all right for you to believe what you want to believe. That's not a problem. But we don't want you to practice what you believe. And that's kind of the subtext that's underneath it. And so be careful of that. I just kind of warn you about that because you're going to hear that more and more, that it's all right for you to believe what you want to believe. Just you don't have the freedom to practice it, though. But what did we just read in the First Amendment? You have the right to freely exercise your religion. And of course that's going to create conflicts that have to be worked out, between what's going on in the world and all as well. But just remember that one of the things that you do have in this wonderful country is the right to freely exercise your religion. And don't let somebody just throw out the words, separation of church and state, and you kind of all panic and go away. Okay? That's an answer, 5-minute answer quick for you.